Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Tech Tejendra, and we are now at chapter 5 of our Red Hat OpenShift administration tutorial. In this chapter, we will continue to discuss about OpenShift authentication and authorization. And specifically, we will discuss the role-based access control, which also called as RBAC, and how these all things applied in the OpenShift cluster. Okay, and then we will do the comprehensive lab, and we will create different users, create different roles, and we'll see uh, also apply some policies there, okay, to understand this topic in the detail, because this is the very complex and the crucial concepts of authentication and authorization in the cluster, and every administration must have good knowledge about this. Okay, so let me jump into the content now. In in the last chapter, okay, we did some basic authentication and authorizations, understand these authentication and authorization concepts, okay, means what type of users and groups are there in the OpenShift, right? User service account are there, groups and roles we can decide, right? And then how we can configure OpenShift or Auth servers by using the htpasswd and LDAP and OpenID, right? This in this video, in this chapter, we will do the deep dive, and we'll see what is this role-based access control (RBAC). Okay, and in OpenShift, we can divide these roles into the two main roles. One is the cluster roles, and another is the local roles. Cluster roles is at the cluster level, right? So main thing is the cluster, and then inside the cluster you can have the projects, right? So if you are having the cluster role, then you can manage the cluster, right? You are working on the cluster level. So different roles are there. Main role is the cluster admin role. So a cluster admin can change anything inside the cluster itself. Okay, cluster status role is kind of the a view status, view role only, and he's one who is having that cluster status role can view the things there in the cluster itself, but he cannot change anything. Okay, and the self provision, this one is the important one, right? This is the cluster level role, but the user who is having the self provisioner role can create the projects inside the cluster. Okay, so that's why this role is very much important. Then local roles, these local roles we can say the project level roles also. If someone is having these roles, then suppose for admin role, okay, so user having this role can work in the project, okay, can create the users in the project, can create the resources in the project, manage the policy in the projects, right? Basic user is kind of the read access only on the projects. Edit is important. Okay, the user who is having the edit role can create the new applications, okay, and can create the resources like services, like routes, okay. But a lot of thing he cannot do, like the quota, okay, and the limits, setting the limit, these kind of thing user cannot do. For that, admin access should be there, okay. And last role is the view role. In this, it is again kind of the read role only, okay. So we will understand all these, and via the example, okay. So what we are going to do in this lab, okay, it will going to be a comprehensive lab, okay, and we will combine both chapter 4 and chapter 5 here. And what we will do, we will first create the four type of user: admin user, leader user, developer user, and the tester user, okay. And then we will make admin user the cluster administrator, okay, so that he can do the cluster level of things, okay. And then as the admin user, remove the ability to create project cluster wide, right? So what we will going to do that, only we will remove the self provision, right? I told you about this role, right? Self provision for all other users, only admin able to do the self provision as of now, right? And later on we will make changes there as well, okay. Then we will create a managers group, and we will add leader user into that manager group, and then we will grant privileges to the managers group, so that the whatever users are there in the managers group, they can create the project, right? So what we will do here, we will provide self-provisioner access. Okay, the self-provisioner access to the managers. Okay, and then we will create the developers and tester groups, and we'll add developer and tester in this group. And then developers group, we will provide the view, will provide the edit role. Okay, and for tester group, we will provide the view. Okay, so let me go ahead one by one. Here are these all commands we are going to execute to for this lab. Okay, and step by step I will explain every command and what this command will do, aspects of this lab. Okay, all these steps. Okay, so first thing first, let me move to our cluster environment. Here it is our cluster environment. Okay, and I am already logged in as the cube admin. You must be able, we must be cluster admin, okay, to do this job, to create user and other things, other stuff. So I am the cluster admin here. Okay, if I check my role or see who am I, so I am the queue admin. Okay, and in my directory currently I am having one file. Okay, so let me first create the admin user. Okay, so for this, let me copy and paste this command. So what we will, htpasswd, I have already explained in the chapter 4. So you can go there and can see why htpasswd is being used here. Okay. So we are using htpasswd, and we will create that temp user file. Okay. And in this temp user file, we will create we will add the admin user with the admin password. Okay. -c means create the new file, and -b is the for add and update. Okay. So let me do that. So admin user has been added. Now let me quickly add leader and other. Okay. So this is going to add, right? Here we are not using -c because we have already created the file. Okay. We are just adding user. That's why -b we are using. Okay. Quickly let me add another users as well. Developer, and password would be developer. Okay. And then let me add tester as well. User is tester, password is tester. Okay, so far we have added 4 users in the htpasswd file. So let me see the file here. Okay, so this file temp users has been created, and let me see the content of the temp user file. Okay, so this is the content. Okay, so admin user, leader, developers, and tester has been added here with the password. Now the next thing is we have to create a secret inside the OpenShift, and okay, till now we have created ST password only. Okay, it's nothing to do with the OpenShift because ST password is come with the Apache project. It's not associated with the OpenShift, right? So by using this file, we will create the secrets and then add these secrets into the OpenShift cluster as a users. Okay, in the OAuth section, OAuth server configuration, as I told in the previous chapter. Okay, so let me do these things quickly. So first, let me create the secret. This is for creating secret command. Okay, so what we are doing here, OC secret, OC create secret. The generic method we will use to create secret. Secret name would be the auth secret, and we are creating the secret from the file. File name is the temp users. Okay, here temp user, and the ht password equal is the most important thing. We have to we have to must prefix this with the ht password and in the file name temp user. Hyphen n is the namespace. OpenShift hyphen config is the namespace. Right. So this is the operator, right? Operator in the from second chapter I am discussing about the operator. These operators are very much crucial, and you need to understand these operators. If you want, then you can go back to my chapter 2 and understand these operators. These are very much important, right? So we are creating this secrets in the config operator, right? OpenShift dash config project, you can say. So let me create. So our secret is created. Now the next term is configure our OAuth. Okay. So first we will get the OAuth file, right? So this is a command to get the OAuth file in the YAML format. Okay, getting the current OAuth configuration, right? So we are getting the OAuth configuration in the YAML format, and we are saving it into the OAuth 1 YAML file. So in our directory, this oauth1.yaml, right? So if we see the content of this file, okay, so currently in the specification, kind is the OAuth, okay, kind is OAuth, and specification is empty, okay. So we need to add our this users and files, everything there in the specification section. Okay, what we have to do in the what we have to add in the specification section, the identity providers, right? So identity providers is the htpasswd, and here is the htpasswd file, right? It is the file. So this is the file name. Okay, file name we have already created in the secret, right? So in the secret, this is the secret name, and then the type is htpasswd. Okay, so that we have to add into the secret, and then again replace that authentication with the OAuth. Okay, in the OAuth authentication. Okay, I will show you this thing. So I have already did this work in my OAuth file. Okay, to save our time. Okay, so if we see that, so I have already did this. Here you can see identity provider, HT password, and everything I have. Right, this is our secret name. Okay, so I have already did. So we need to replace our OAuth configuration now. Okay, so for this replace, what we will do, we will apply this command oc replace, and this is the file name and OAuth YAML, right? So what it will do, it will once we will apply this YAML, okay, it will change the kind OAuth. Okay, so let me do. Okay, so this error is because my OAuth file is little bit old. Okay, that's why this version is not matching, right? So you can see the resource version here. This resource version is mismatched. That's why this error is coming. So let me do one thing. Let me copy this, and let me have replace it in our OAuth one file itself. Okay, so let me first select it. Okay, and let me open the OAuth one in the Vim. Okay, and let me edit it here itself. Okay, you can see the resource version is changed for that file. That's why that error was coming. Okay, let me remove this and insert it here. Okay, now it should work fine. Let me save it. Okay, let me replace that file again, but this time we have to replace with the OAuth 1 YAML. Let me go ahead. Okay, so it has been replaced. Now let's do the next thing, and I will explain what about this command. Okay, so what we have did, we have updated the OAuth configuration, right? Now, once this OAuth configuration has been updated, it means the OpenShift hyphen authentication. This is again the operator. Okay, this will be again reconfigured. Once it will reconfigured, it means it will again restart all the ports, right, with the new configuration of the OAuth. Okay, so okay, so all pod are running here, so we are fine here. Let me come out of it, and let me move to our next section. Okay, next section is what? Next section, make admin user a cluster administrator. Okay, so we have created the admin and other users, but here now we will give admin user the cluster admin rights. Okay, so for it we will use this command oc adm policy. Okay, so it is the policy, we will add this policy. Okay, add cluster role to user, and what role we are using? Cluster admin role we are adding to which user? Admin user. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. Okay, and then let me log in. with our admin user. Okay. For it, OC login -u admin -p is also admin. It is saying unauthorized because still our admin user is not added. Why? Because it means still our OpenShift authentication, right? These ports are not get restarted. As I told you, once we have changed the configuration, then the new sets of ports should be spawn up, right, for the OpenShift authentication with the changed configuration. So let's again check. Okay, and here we can see now the pods has been started. Okay, and in the running state, and these pods just started, right, 90 seconds before to 60 seconds before, right? So now we are good to go, and our user should be login now. Okay, so let's again try this login command. Here our login is success, so admin user is able to log in. Okay, and let me check if that user is also having cluster admin rights or not. To check that, we can give command oc get node, because only admin user, cluster admin user can get the nodes details, right? So here admin user can get, right? So that's why this roles and policy has been applied correctly to the admin role, the cluster admin role. Okay. And the is next step is, as the admin user, remove the ability to create project cluster wide, right? So here now what we are going to do, nobody should be able to create new project, okay, into the cluster. Okay, for that what we are going to provide, we are going to provide a policy here, and that policy is we are removing that self provisioner roles, okay, from the groups, from all groups and the users. Okay, so while we will do that, nobody will be able to create the new project here. Okay, so let me apply here. Okay, so this policy has been applied, and let what we do, let me check it. Okay, to check it, like we first login, OC login with the developer user, suppose. Okay, developer, and -p is developer. So this developer user is not the cluster admin user. Okay. To check, we can check OC get nodes. Okay. So in that case, that user will error should come, right? So error is coming, forbidden error is coming, right? That user is not. So let me try to now create the project. Okay. So to create project, OC new project, sorry, OC new project. Let me create the test proj. Okay, here, and here it is saying forbidden, right? Why forbidden? Because we have removed the self provisions role from all, right? That's why. Okay, so let me again log in back with our admin user. Okay, we are again logged back in as the admin user. Okay, now next step is, okay, so step 3 is complete. Now we are in step 4, create manager group and add the leaders to this group. And then we need to grant privilege, okay, this privilege to create project, right? For means for managers group, we have to grant self provisioner access. Okay, so whatever users in the managers group, they will be able to create the projects, nobody else. Okay, so let me do that and we will test it also. Okay, for it, let me create first the new group, and this is the command for creating the group. Let me quickly do it. OC ADM group new managers. Okay, so it will create the new group with the name of manager. So new group has been created, and now let quickly add the leaders user into the managers. Okay, so we are adding here. So we are adding users into the managers, and which user we are adding? Leader user we are adding. Okay. So leader user has been added. Okay. Now we are providing the policy, right? So OCADM policy, add cluster role to group. Okay, here we are adding role to the group, and which role we are adding? Self provisioner role to managers group. Okay, once that role is added, then managers group, whatever users are managers group, they will be able to create the project. Now let me check it via um, login. Okay, to the via login as a leader user. OC login -u leader and -p. Okay. So now we have logged in, and let me try to create our project here. Okay. So OC new project dashboard. Let me see if we are able to create, right? So now we are able to create the project, right? So it means that role successfully we have applied to the managers. Okay. Let me log in back again with the admin users. Okay. So we are again back to the admin user. And now the last part of this tutorial is, okay, create developers and the tester group, and we will add developer and tester user into the group, and then we will provide the edit role to the developers group and view role to the tester group. Okay, so let's quickly do it. So let's first create the developers group. Okay, so here we are creating the groups developers. Okay, and quickly let me create the new group for testers. Okay, so both has been created, and now we are adding the users. Okay, so in the developers group we are adding the developer user. Okay, and let in the testers group, let me add the tester user. Okay, so this task we have completed. Okay, now the policy. Okay, so this is the main important part here. So in the developers group, we are adding role added. Okay, so OC policy, add role to group, edit role we are adding to the developers. Okay, so once developers will get added, then they can create the new applications, resources, and many more things. But in the restricted way, they cannot do create the quota, can change the range limits. Okay, so this is done, and in the same way, let we provide the view role. Let me turn the view role to the tester. Okay. So that's all for this chapter. Okay. In this chapter, we all inclusively see how we can create the different users, how we can create the different roles to the users, how create the groups, how we can add users into the group, how we can grant roles to the groups, how we can delete roles from the group, right? As we deleted self-provisioner roles, right? So these things we can. Thanks very much for watching.